I've been telling everybody all night that I've got some big things that I want to do right now. You see, for the last 4 or 5 months, I've been stating the fact that A-Double's not getting a fair shake around here. You see, I feel like the playing field has not been even for Austin Aries. I know and you know that the deck is being stacked against the greatest man that ever lived. And as I've sat back and take a look at the landscape, I realize there's one name responsible for all of that. There is one name that is the root cause of all my problems. There is one name that is holding me down. And that name is Hogan. Hogan. And seen it as open fight night right now, Hogan, I want you to get your fake tan, bleach blonde, big ugly ass out here. Well, I should be more specific. Brooke Hogan.
What?
Get your ass out here.
Brooke Hogan? Aries is, wait, he's calling out Brooke.
Come on, Brooke.
What?
I know you're not a wrestler, Brooke. I know you're not a wrestler. But you know what you are? You're a Hogan. You're the Princess Hogan. You're Daddy's little girl. And you know what, Brooke? You know what I'm sick and tired of? I'm sick and tired of the name Hogan. For the last 25 years, everywhere I've looked, every television set I've turned on, every billboard I've seen, it's been Hogan. 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 Yeah, exactly. Every arena I go into, it's these dumb people chanting Hogan, 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 Hogan. And I'm sick of it, Brooke. And you know what? I'll bet you're just as sick of the Hogan name as I am. Because being a Hogan, being in the spotlight, I'll bet you it's real hard to keep your private life private.
What are you talking about?
I'll bet when you were a little girl, Brooke, you dreamed of the day you would find the man of your dreams, you would walk down the aisle, and you could finally give that Hogan name away. I'll bet you would think about who you would be in your future life. Maybe be Ms. Brooke Trump. Maybe you'd be Ms. Brooke McMahon. But I'll bet you never thought in a million years that one day you'd be Ms. Bully Ray. I bet you never thought when you were thinking about all the little kids you were going to make, there'd be a bunch of little bully maniacs running around.
You know what? Stop.
But you know what? Knowing your dad, I'll bet you he'd never let you hand that Hogan name away. No. So I'll bet you it's going to have to be Bully Ray Hogan. Well, Brooke, you look a little confused. Like this isn't quite adding up for you.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what? Hey, let's take a look at what happened a couple weeks ago. Maybe this will help refresh your memory. Now, that's innocent enough. That's just two colleagues. They could have been talking about anything, right? I'm sure there's plenty of good explanations for that. Very innocent explanations. But explaining this footage that happened last week might be a little more difficult to explain.
Knock.
You knock.
You knock. Let's just go in.
Hi, Tara.
Good. Bully Ray.
Oops.
How dare you?
You know, Brooke.
How dare you?
How dare me, Brooke? Brooke, I mean, if you're that starved for attention, if you're that hungry for some love, you didn't have to settle for the turkey. A-double would have gave you all the stuffing you can handle.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon Derry.
Sit down, shut up, and listen up.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, taking you until 1:45, where we've got high school playoff football action, Bristol and Williams Valley. But until that point, talking a little WWE, talking a little TNA, talking a little bit of Turkey in a sense as far as the coming out of the Survivor Series and what you're thankful for in wrestling. Of course, with Thanksgiving being this past Thursday, and a couple of entries already thrown in on the Facebook feedback at WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. John from the Northeast jokingly throwing out there Twitter and tout or something. Of course, the various social media entries that wrestling fans can put themselves out there on for better or for worse. But then he actually gives a serious answer of, I'm most thankful for infinite amount of childhood memories growing up watching classic Federation and WCW, and then getting older and watching ECW and the Attitude Era and the NWO. There are certainly countless memories, and I know I've got quite a few of them. I mean, going back to when I first started watching right in the tail end of Hulkamania in '93, still can't get that Caesar's Palace image out of my head, and Fincus Maximus and all that nonsense from WrestleMania 9. Bob obviously going for the brownie points. He said he's thankful for WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. I don't know about all that necessarily, but yeah, it's I'm glad to at least bring it to you. And John also commenting in on the clip we just heard. She's no wrestler, but she's also not an actress, singer, reality star, or socialite. She's just a Hogan brother. Of course, referring to Brooke, daughter of the Hulkster. And John also chiming in earlier, hashtag respect the Spanish table, and then feeling free to throw it in Spanish as well. It's been a little while. It's been about 15 years. Let's see if I can actually read and understand. Well, I understand it because he just had the English before it. But respetar la mesa españoles or something like that. Only here on Pro Wrestling Weekly can we get various things of that nature. I also was throwing out there, if you could make a Survivor Series team of your 4 or 5 favorite all-time wrestlers, who would they be, and what would a team of your least favorite wrestlers look like? Michael chiming in with favorites of Andre, Flair, Bruno, Steamboat, and Hogan. Whew. I'd say it's a pretty dominant team. Also, Robert chiming in with Hogan, Savage, Andre, Flair, and Bruno. Seems to be a lot of commonality in there, at least with those. And John chiming in with Randy Savage, Kurt Angle, The Rock, Steve Austin, and The Ultimate Warrior. That'd be a pretty dominant team, too. I thought I had a good one. I'm looking at some of these going, man, these are some good teams. Mine I was throwing out there, of course, Savage, who seems to be on almost everybody's list. Bret Hart, Roddy Piper, Mr. Perfect, and Ric Flair. Yeah, I went technical and smaller guys, I know. And of course, thinking about it after the fact, how could I leave Michaels off the list? Well, then again, this is favorite, not necessarily best all-time wrestlers. So they were just who your favorites are. So, you may not necessarily have liked the best. I mean, somebody, if they wanted to, could have had the Red Rooster in there because they like Terry Taylor. Who knows? I mean, you have that right. You have that thought. And then some of your least favorites, just to kind of give you an idea. Could you imagine this team? This is a team that I think a lot of people would want to see beaten up and go away just for the sake of it. The Warlord, the Great Khali, Vladimir Kozlov, Batista, and Triple H. That'd be my Survivor Series least fave 5, for lack of a better term. And yeah, I have a hunch that this is going to carry over into next week a little bit, just as just as an overall hunch. We've already got a couple of matches set up for TNA Final Resolution. 3 matches so far announced for the card coming up for December 9th, I believe it is. We've got Jeff Hardy defending the TNA World Championship against Bobby Roode. We've also got AJ Styles facing Christopher Daniels for what has to be like the 1,678th time, because it seems like they've gone against each other so much in TNA history. And I don't know, it seems like they always find different ways of innovating. And Tara will be defending the Knockouts title against Mickie James. That's your final resolution lineup so far. We'll have more matches more than likely next week when I'm back with you here on Pro Wrestling Weekly. And also, we've got one match set up this week for TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. That's coming to you on the 16th of December. Big Show, not surprisingly, going to be defending the World Championship against Sheamus in a chairs match. In case you missed Survivor Series, after the match was over, out of frustration, Sheamus decided to beat the living daylights out of Big Show with a chair, pretty much setting up the chairs match. Of course, we'll have to have some sort of a ladder match, tables match, and a TLC match also set up for TLC. And it'll be interesting to see who will Punk face and what style match will it be. What do you want to see with that? Well, we can certainly find out. Also, some news and notes. We'll get to that on the other side. Jericho's got another hosting gig. A WWE diva arrested over the course of this past week. Also, more info on John Cena's MRI on his knee. And an interesting McMahon update. I'll leave it at that. McMahon handing out a check and a condom. I'll tell you more about that coming up on the other side. Let me give you the numbers: 215-949-3232 or toll free at 888-922-2149. Those are the ways to reach us here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.